Hey guys, so this is Saikat. So this video is going to be on constructor functions and classes, okay, that are available in JavaScript. Okay, so mainly we would need a little bit of theory to understand a few concepts, okay, uh, but I'll try to make you understand using some of the programs. Okay, so let's just see. Actually, I tried many times to put all the theories here, but things are becoming very boring. So I'll just code these things. So es6 and es5. Okay, so es5 is nothing but the older way of writing JavaScript, whereas the es6 is the newer way of writing JavaScript. Newer way in the sense that es6 was introduced in 2015. So there were a few syntaxes that were introduced. In amongst them one was class. Okay, so class, why do we need class? Mainly to have object oriented programming concepts, mainly like to apply all those concepts. Okay, so let's see, before 2015 how we used to have object oriented concepts. Okay, so I'll just create a class as a, then here this kind of class. Okay, so what I'll do is, for example, I will write a name as some name. This I'll take this value from here. Okay, so now in order to like use this function, we generally write it like this. Okay, so we use this new keyword and then we call this as like this. Okay, for example, I'll pass my name here. So this way of creating functions, okay, this way of creating functions where we have one E as cap in a capital letter, and we write we use this keyword. Okay, so this way of writing function is called constructor function. We do not write any logic inside these functions. Okay, we only initiate all our variables. Okay, for example, I have name, maybe I can add another variable as age. Okay, so yeah, so this way of creating a function is called constructor function, the way we are writing the function. So what's happening inside is, when we are using this new keyword, a new instance of this function is going to going to be created inside the browser memory. Okay, so yeah, so we can also create a function like this. So inside this function we can create another function, so something like show name. Okay, so here we can have something like this, maybe console.log this dot name. Okay, so this is a very simple function. Okay, so I can just call it like this, a dot show name. Yeah, it should print my name es5. Age is not defined. Okay, sorry. Okay, so yeah, so I am just writing this function and I am calling it. Okay, it's very simple. So after 2015, the class syntax was introduced, in which we can write the same function in a different way. Okay, so how can we write? So it's like this. So inside here I can have this dot name equals to name, this dot age equals to age, age. is dot show name. Yeah, so post equals to new dot show name. So I'll keep a different name, or maybe okay, fine. So I'll give my full one. Yeah, so as you can see that my name is getting printed. Okay, so anyways, so whatever I have written here, the equivalent of this function in es6 is this one. Okay, so here what happens is we have this class where I give a name to this class as a. You can write anything to this name. Okay, so you can write Alexander, anything. Okay, so every class will have a constructor. Okay, in the constructor you can initiate the initial values. You initiate the class with some initial values. For example, I have passed these values, so this comes here, and this class is getting initiated. Okay, then you can also write a function here also, but generally we do not prefer to write functions inside constructor. Here also in general we do not write it like this. Okay, we have a different technique of creating functions. Okay, so um, the yeah, so the next thing comes up is, so in people who has worked on other languages like Java or Python, they might have come across that. Okay, fine, you created a class, you have a constructor, that's great, but we can add multiple methods as well, right? So how do I create multiple methods? So something like this. So here I have show age, for example. Okay, so how do I do this? Okay, console dot log this dot age. Now I'll do dot show age. Is it right? Yeah. Okay. So here you can see my age is getting printed. Okay. Now this is how we create methods in JavaScript. Okay. The similar thing we can do in es5 also. Okay, so how do we create methods in JavaScript is something called prototype. Okay, so how we created is like this. So a dot JavaScript has an inbuilt reserved keyword called prototype. Okay, like every object or every constructor function you have, okay, will have this keyword. Okay, so using this keyword you can create it. So something like I'll have show age equals to function. Okay, I'll just print console.log this dot age. Okay, here again this will refer to all this elements. So everything that I have created written inside this a function, okay, will be available inside this function, this show age function, in the form of this. Okay, if I like want to access age, I can write this dot age. Okay, so I'll just change my value so that people don't get confused. Okay, so something like, okay. this dot show edge. Okay, so you can see that now my age is getting printed as 34, which is present in this es5 file, right? So this is how, like, this is the equivalent of this now. Okay, so whatever I write methods, okay, inside a class, okay, whatever I create, okay, multiple methods I can create. The same thing I can create in the es5 version also in the form of this, okay, like a dot prototype. I need to use this keyword. Without this keyword it won't work. Okay, so a dot prototype dot the function name, then I need to use this function keyword also. I'll have to use, I can't use arrow function here. So arrow, if I use arrow function, then this won't work. Okay, this will have a different context. Okay, this won't refer to all these variables here. It will refer to the global this. Okay, means for browser it will refer to the window object, whereas for node it will refer to the global object. Okay, so I guess, yeah, I guess you should be clear with all this information. So the next thing that I am going to show you is how do you inherit one class into another. Okay, for example, I have a class as B, CLS class B. Now I want to have all the methods that are also present in A. Okay, so how do I get it? So in order to inherit all the functions that are available in A, I need to use this extends keyword. Okay, then I'll have to write it right here A. Now whenever I want to extend it, okay, first of all I need to write the constructor. Then inside the constructor I'll have to use this keyword called super. Okay, so inside this super will directly invoke the parent constructor. Okay, I mean to say that the constructor of the class that we are extending from. Okay, for example, B is extending from A, right? So A is the parent class. So whatever you pass here, that those things, for example, here I'll be passing as my name, for example, Saket, and age is 30. Okay, so these two parameters will be passed here. Okay, this will come, so this name becomes Saket and age becomes 30. Okay, so whatever you pass here, that gets passed to the parent class. Okay, so this I won't be hard coding this value, so this will be dynamic. So I'll take name and age, I'll pass these two values here, name comma age, right? Now fine, now instead of A I'll be creating B. You see, I'm getting the same value right now. This is working fine, right? So I am creating a new instance of B where I am passing these values. Okay, my name and my age. Okay, so I am passing here. Now whatever I pass here, it comes here, then it's going to this super. Okay, now from the super it's going here. Okay, and it's getting instantiated here. Okay, so now we need to know, like, how do we do the same thing in es5, right? So to do the same functionality, like to inherit some other parent class into a child class, okay, or maybe a parent function to a child function, okay, child constructor function, we can do it like this. So function b. In order to inherit it, we need to use this. You write it like this. So a dot call, then this. Okay. To understand the concept behind call, you need to go to my previous video where I have given like all the polyfills of call. Okay, like how it works internally, so how to use it and all. Okay, so you can refer there. So if I write it like this, the entire thing inside this constructor function only. Okay, not this part. Okay, only this constructor function. Okay, everything gets inherited here. Okay, by just writing this function. Okay, so now I can change this to b, and this one will be capital B, and this will be b. Now if I just call it, it will give me an error because this show age won't be present. Okay, instead of show age, so I'll be putting here show name. So now let me run it. Show name. Okay. Okay. So B is not taking any value, so I need to pass some value age. Okay. I think it should work now. Yeah. Okay. So um, so as you can see that I am creating a new instance of b, okay, which is a constructor function. Now the value that I am passing here goes here. Okay, now a dot call is doing something. Okay, or actually call is just bringing all these values and putting here. Okay, it's similar to something like you copy it from there and you put it here, right? This is what call is doing internally. So once I do this, I can call this name. Now let's try with show edge and see what happens. You see, it says that b.showAge is not a function. Okay, so when we use call and we try inheriting like all the variables inside the constructor function, only this part gets inherited, but all the prototype functions that are attached to this a, okay, or are attached to this constructor function won't get inherited. Okay, so in order to inherit them, we need to have a different technique. Okay, so what we do is we use this object dot assign, then here we write it we need to keep it outside. Okay, a dot prototype comma b dot prototype. Okay, so if I do this, okay, then what happens is the prototype of A gets attached to B, something similar to this. Okay, so for example, B dot prototype is dot show name, show age. So this things comes here. Okay, all the prototype functions that are available inside the a constructor function gets inherited here, like gets attached to b now. Okay, so this is what this line is doing. Okay, so you see it's a bit tricky, right? So that is the reason why this class syntaxes were introduced. Okay, so when you write something in this way like class b extends a, you don't need to worry about all its prototype or all the things that are present inside, I mean the variables and all. Okay, just writing it like this. Okay, like b extends a and you call the super of that, that's it, you are done. Okay, you can now inherit all the classes. Okay, so if, for example, if I want to, okay, I have already shown, right? So if I run this show age here, okay, you can get the values. Okay, like once you just extend it and you call this super, the and all the methods that represent inside this parent functions gets inherited to your child function. Okay, so now let's see, let's run this and see what happens. Yes. B dot show age is not a function. Oh, sorry. B dot prototype here. A dot prototype. So target should be. So this is your. Yeah, so this is your target and this is your source. Okay. So now fine. So I am getting this value, right? So 34 is my value. That's what I mean. So this is how inheritance works in JavaScript, like before 2015, and this side is the one that which shows you like how inheritance works like after 2015 if we use the class syntax. Okay, but internally what JavaScript is doing is JavaScript is converting this to this. Okay, JavaScript do not have any way of implementing classical object oriented programming which we have in Java. Okay, JavaScript don't have all those things. Okay, so JavaScript just knows, okay, fine, you are using this class keyword and you are extending means, okay, then internally I need to do convert it, then convert this code into this, and then I'll run all the functions. Okay, so this is only how JavaScript works. Okay, so it doesn't have any internal implementation of classes are not there. Okay, so it's just a syntactical sugar which says that, okay, fine, you are using class, I'll convert it to functions. Okay, so fine. So that's how classes in JavaScript works, and that's how constructor functions works, like both in ES5 and ES6 way. So fine, I think that's all for the day. So yeah, thank you. Bye bye.